Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the new tool from Real Illusion called AccuRig to be able to apply a rig to any kind of humanoid character and bring this to Unreal Engine for Fortnite. Through the process we're going to use Unreal Engine 5.3, which is not for which is not for Fortnite, but we're going to use some retargeting tools inside of that to do the whole thing. So all right, let's start that. So the first thing is you go and download this new software, AccuRig. Also, you have to pick your model for sure. So I went to Sketchfab and I just picked up this stylized model made by Chira. So it looks good in a sense. It's an A pose. You either use an A or T pose to be able to do a proper rig. So I export that and I create an FBX. So we're gonna use this inside the AccuRig software. So you go and choose your file. This is, I'm gonna delete this one, it was a test before. So this is my file I get from Sketchfab. I just open it. One thing is really important when you use AccuRig is to be sure your texture is working. So typically FBX bring a reference to the texture in the UV map. So if you don't have this and your character is all white, you better to have an FBX, so just a little note. So I'm starting to be sure this is right in the middle of the characters. This character it's very well done, so there's no issue there. I'm just gonna rig the body. All right, so I get a first snap of the point. So basically what the software is doing is putting to kind of a critical anchor or moving points. It's not really bones at per se, but more like the way you're going to build the stuff. So you can adjust stuff like, for example, I notice my ankles here may be not perfect. So I'm just going to move it a little bit like that. Whoops, and it moved in the center. So I just want to be sure it's there. And this guy as well. So I just want to be sure they are perfectly. You can use also symmetry and things like that. So I'm not going to spend too much time with AccuRig. There's so many things you can do, but typically it do a pretty good job. Let's say it's doing a pretty good job. So I'm going to go with the rig for the end. So using 5 fingers. So the great things with AccuRig, it can rig like more sophisticated character with 3 fingers and things like that, cartoonish and things. So it's a very interesting tool. All right, so now I get my finger. Same wise, I can do tiny adjustment for the thumb here. I'm just gonna move it like that. I'm gonna do the right hand, same little thing here. I'm just gonna move this tiny bit like this, and I'm gonna finalize the character. All right, and there we go. We get the character fully animated. So you can test various position with the body to check if you feel like the animation is good. Let's do some walking, and I feel like it's not bad. So if you feel like, for example, this character is bent a little bit on his back, so I'm just gonna adjust a little bit the torso like this. You can do some adjustment like this, but anyway. So there's a bunch of little fine tuning, but you don't really have to. I think most of the time it do a pretty good job. So now there's 2 options of export. So you can either upload it to AccuCore, which is their software where you can see the other animation. So let's do this. I'm going to upload this on my account. But this is not what we want to do. So this is not the most important thing, because if you go to AccuCore, you go on motion, you go on actor here on the website, and I look at my account. So now my new rig is being uploaded, so I can see it there, and I can check motion, and I can just make it react to different animation and things like that. There's plenty of free animation, so we're gonna try to export those as well. So, but we're gonna start with the one inside of Unreal Engine. Okay, so I'm going back to the software, prefer to work this way, and I'm gonna do an export. It's gonna use FBX. I have to go on Unreal, keep the original texture. Again here, be sure initially your character was properly defined with his right texture and everything. Otherwise, when you do an export, everything is changed from the original. So that's not the same. So this mesh I was getting in, and the new one, it's not the same. So they changed the UV and things like that. So be careful with that. Okay, so I'm doing an export with the FBX. And now I'm ready to use it inside of Unreal Engine. There we go. I'm going to launch 5.32. Okay, and then you use the third person to have the proper information for that. And I'm going to use this for my AccuRig demo. There we go. Okay, now inside of Unreal Engine, so what we're going to do, we're going to create a new folder and import all our new rig we just created. So I'm going to call this AccuRig. Inside this, I'm going to import the FBX I just created, which was Anyanami rig. So let's just import that. Okay, so when you do the import, there's different strategy to take in consideration here in regards of the skeleton. So you can either try to pick and associate this with the Unreal Engine 4 skeleton, which is, I think, what's actually happened behind the hood for AccuRig. So that's the kind of a skeleton they kind of match. Or you just leave it as is, and he's going to create his own skeleton. And I think we're going to go this way just to show you a different technique. The other thing is important is to be sure you have used TO as a ref pause. So if you don't, that's what's going to happen. So let's see. I'm importing the whole thing without doing anything. So I'm going to get an error like that. So I don't like to have this kind of error. So I'm going to fix this by... So let's delete the whole thing here. So instead, I'm going to do import here. And I'm just going to tick that little... This thing is enable this option to use frame 0 as a reference pause. It seems to be the issue. So if I do import all, it's going to be okay. And I'm not going to have any error. So there we go. It's all there. So also now I have my own skeleton mesh. So the important part now is what do we want to do? We're going to use two tools, which was developed for retargeting animation. We're going to use an AccuRig, which means inverse kinematic, and we're going to use an Accu retargeter. So those two tools are actually the secret sauce to adjust or create animation with a new character. So I'm going to go under AccuRig. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this rigs, just to be consistent. And I'm going to copy those two things here. So the first thing to do is actually apply AccuRig. So by default, this is the Unreal Engine 4 mannequin. And what they did is they actually create 4 points of connection, which you can actually adjust eventually. But that's the trick. So basically what you want to do now, it's you want to select the object. You want to change the mesh it's been used for that. So I use this one. So as you can see, it's kind of not perfect. So you can do a reset like that, and it kind of fit perfectly the bone structure. So basically, this is what you have to do. That's it. So you just save that. Now you have an AccuRig associated to your mesh and the bone structure inside of it. So we can close this part, and with this in mind, we're going to retarget for other purpose. So here we have a retargeter. So basically what a retargeter is doing is taking one skeleton mesh and apply the structure to another one in order to get access to the animation. So for example, right now we have Unreal Engine 4, and you have one reference here. So if we click on that, we can see that's what's going on here. So what we want to do is we want to retarget that for, let's say we want to use our new IK, which is this one. I'm going to rename it. Otherwise I'm going to get lost at some point. So I'm going to rename it AccuRig. There we go. So this way I'm going to recognize it easily. So here you can just switch and say, well, I'm going to want to use AccuRig. And then if I click now, the animation by magic, it works. So this is like a super powerful tool. So what you do now, it's very simple. You have to export your animation. So I'm just going to put this under a folder. I'm going to create a new folder, animation, like that. And I want this to be export there. There we go. So now I have my animation being retargeted for my my new character. So I'm just going to put one example of the character. So I go on AccuRig. I'm going to bring this in the scene, and I'm going to change the animation just to put a temporary animation. Use animation asset. And now I have access to my jog. There we go. And if I play, you can see my character is running. It's perfect. All right. So now let's try to use the animation for Unreal Engine 5. So to do that, so what you do, you go back there, you go to your rig, and we're going to do another retargeter. And then what we're going to do, instead of taking from Unreal Engine 4 to AccuRig, we're going to use Unreal Engine 5, which is this one, Mannequin AccuRig. So I'm going to use this, and as soon as we do that switch, you can see all the animation we get access to. So let's take a walk. Let's take a walk. So let's put this in place, for example. So you can see this one is walking. And now you want to use this animation, you just do an export selected. I'm going to put it this in the same folder, animation, export. And now I get a new walking animation. And same as the other one, now they both, if I look at my folder now, why I lost my animation? Did I? Okay, this one is there. Oops, I found where the animation was moved, so I just have to move it there. Move it there. So there we go. So I got my two animation now. And if I click on this guy, I can change for the walking. And here we go. So we get the animation, the walking animation. Like, this must be the same walking than this guy. So right away, you may notice some weird things happening with the hands. So I noticed that sometimes the animation may be not perfectly aligned with the bones and stuff. So what you can do, you go in the rig, and so we did convert. So this one was, wait, let's rename it. So we use this Unreal Engine Mani to AccuRig, and this guy was Unreal Engine 5 to AccuRig, like that. Is it right? Yes, okay. So what I notice is the bones are not, the ends are not perfect. So if I go with a walk, so you can go find a walk like that, and I just take a pause. And if I look at the hands, let's put this a little bit bigger. You see the hand is a little bit twick, so you can do some adjustments. So it's not, you don't have that much detail, but you can like just adjust this a little bit like that. And if I go back to the other one, same wise, this is a bit too much. So let's do another, like maybe this, like this. So this way it's better. So what you do then, you re-export it again. I'm going to go AccuRig, animation, export. Let's go there, detail, like that. And then we have the new one. So you see the hands are being adjusted. So it's better that way. So you can do like fine tuning like this with your animation or work on it. But I mean, it's going to be, you're going to have some little detail doesn't work perfectly like that. But anyway, okay, so we did the one for Unreal Engine 5. So we did the conversion from Unreal Engine 4 to our AccuRig, another Unreal Engine 5 to our AccuRig. So we're going to do another one from AccuRig to AccuRig, and you will see what I mean by that. So in my AccuRig account, I have access to multiple animation, and I can use this with one of my characters. So I had created this character. There we go. So, and I can check some motion. So I have free animation I can use for the example. So let's say I want to have, I don't know, this dance, this happy dance. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to download this happy dance. I'm going to take the female character. Just going to keep this as is, target Unreal, FBF 60, and gonna download, and I'm gonna create here this I'm gonna call this motion, and I'm just gonna copy this there. All right, so now what I'm gonna do inside of Unreal Engine, I'm gonna import a new folder. It's gonna be under content. I'm gonna call this motion, and I'm gonna import, first of all, I'm going to import the actor first. So always be sure you got your actor inside, not your actor, but your main character first. So I'm just going to import the FBX like that. Keep this in mind, okay? There we go. So I have my character and all my my system. And what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to create an IK for this. So I'm going to copy this IK here. I'm going to copy this under the character motion. And this is what I'm doing is actually what you have to do for mostly every kind of animation you may buy. They sometimes import their own rig. So I'm going to change this for this motion dummy. So this one, reset. There we go. So now I have an AccuRig for the reference from Unreal Engine. So so what I'm going to do now is to retarget this animation using that AccuRig. So let's go back in here. We're going to do a copy like this. And we're going to rename this to, we're going to call this motion to AccuRig, like that. Okay. And now what we have to do is to change this source. So we're going to find our AccuRig. Well, let's rename it because it's confusing otherwise. We're going to call this IK motion. Where is it? There we go. Rename this underscore motion. So then we know. And I'm doing this because I'm not 100% sure when I export from the website if the skeleton is exactly the same. It must be, but I prefer to use an IK. It's just more safe because the dimension of the skeleton and the mesh, it's not always exactly the same in this one. So my IK will help me with this process. So basically I'm going back here and this one. So I'm retargeting motion to AccuRig, and this is the one I want to select. I'm going to change this to my AccuRig motion. There we go. And now I don't have any asset yet. So okay, now I have to import the animation. So let's go back here. I'm going to go in my motion. I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call this animation, like that. And here I'm going to import, all my motion. So this is the actor, the motion. And I have the female dance. That's the one I was looking for. And now, when I do this import, really important, I have to be sure that fit the skeleton I had created, which is this one, the motion dummy female skeleton. So I want to be sure it fits that. And convert scene. I think for the rest, it's fine. Yes, okay, so import that. Okay, now it's been imported. So let's check what's going on. So I have basically two animations. So I have the female dance and this one. So now if we go back to our AccuRig rig and I look at the retargeting motion to AccuRig, I have now access to my two new animations. So if I put this one, the dance, so it shows like it's working. So let's see if the hands are properly placed. They must be, because a little bit of adjustment maybe of this little detail, but like, you know, just like that a little bit, and this one just like this. There we go. And now I just do an export and my AccuRig animation export. Okay, and now if I go back to my scene, here I can select, change the animation, walk to the dance. There we go. And now if I go there, I can see my character dancing. So you see, so this is this is that simple. So let's do a last one. So the last one, what I'm gonna do is on the marketplace, I have this this pack of animation. I'm gonna add this to my project, and now I'm going my content dryer. This new set of animation. So the creator of the animation, and that's typically what they're doing, is they create their own mannequin. So they have imported their own mannequin. So this is the guy here. So I want to rename this. I'm going to need to use an IK for this retargeting again. So let's rename that guy. So not going to rename, but we're going to create an IK for this. So again, I'm going on my rig here. I'm going to take a copy of this IK. It can be any kind of IK. It can be the source too. I'm going to do a copy here. And I'm going to change this for, well, the new, I think it's this one, but you know what? I'm just going to rename it so I can find it easier. So I think it's this one. I'm going to call this mannequin underscore animation. What's the name? Pose animation. Let's call this pose animation. Pose animation. So that's from the pack. Right. I'm going to create my IK for this pose animation, which is this one. There we go. I do a reset. Fit the pose animation perfectly. Save it. So now I have my IK ready to be used. I'm going to call this pose animation like that. There we go. The other, we're going to go there. I'm going to do a copy of my retargeting. I'm going to rename this. It's going to be pose animation to AccuRig. All right. So if I double click on this, so now I want to use my pose animation IK that I just created. IK pose animation. There we go. And now I get access to all the animation I want. So let's say, just gonna take this one, okay? He's pointing towards something. So the character is pointing. So the hands are not too bad. Let's see. Hands always like the challenge here. So it seems to be okay. So I'm just gonna export this animation. AccuRig, animation, export. There we go. So now, if I go back to my, not here, but to my my scene, I'm going to change this to my latest one. Not this, but this. It's going to be the pointing. There we go. So now I just use the animation from my pack. As simple as that. So maybe some adjustment will be needed for the hands, but typically it's right away. It's working right away. So, okay, so now let's put some name convention, so we know what we did. So we have this. So this one is from pose animation, 0.7 from pose animation. This one is from female dance, and we're gonna, it came from, we're gonna call this, it's not AccuRig, but it's AccuCore. AccuCore, I think it's the name of the website. Let's see what we AccuCore. Let's call this AccuCore. Or motion. We use motion in our convention just to keep this in line. We use motion. There we go. This one was a jog from Unreal Engine 4. And this one was the previous end was broke, so we just not gonna use this guy. And this one is the one we fix with the end for Unreal Engine 5. Walk for Unreal Engine 5. So we did 4 retargeting from 4 different sources. So this is the beauty of this retargeting tool. So as much as we want, as soon as we get a new skeleton, we do an IK. We use the IK retargeter and we're good to go and export the animation. So now what we're going to do, we're going to export all of that in order to be able to use this inside Unreal Engine for Fortnite. The way I like to do it, you can do like a migrate, but it doesn't always work as I like to. Sometimes it creates bugs inside of Unreal Engine for Fortnite. So let's do a simple export. So I'm going to create here a new folder. I'm going to call this animation. And I'm going to put all my animation here. Simple as it, nothing more fancy than this. Okay, so we're done with Unreal Engine 5. So now we're going to jump inside Unreal Engine for Fortnite. So now inside of Unreal Engine for Fortnite, so we're going to import the asset same way that we did for Unreal Engine 5.3, but this time it's going to be here. Re-import the source, the one we're using inside of Unreal Engine came out of AccuRig, so the inme_rig.fbx, that's the one I'm going to import because that's the one we work with. So basically it says same kind of stuff. So, and again here you don't select anything, you just import it all. There we go. So it's all well packaged. So because an FBX contains texture and bones and structure like that, so we get the full information here. The rig is there. So everything is as supposed. So we're going to bring the skeleton mesh in our scene. We're just going to scale it a little bit because I like it a little bit bigger like that. And now we're going to create another folder. And we're going to put the animation. So a new folder. We're going to call this animation. All right. So and we're going to just import all the animation we have created. So we go there. It's being exported there. So I'm going to import the 4 animation. And now when it asks me to import, really important, now you select the skeleton mesh of your rig. Where is it? I think that's the one. Import. Okay, so we get all the animation there. So what you do is you select your character, go under the skeleton mesh component, and there's anim to play. You just have to select the one you want. We're gonna use the dancing, and we're gonna launch a session and be super patient because it takes forever. All right, and now we're on Fortnite and we can see our character dancing for us. Finally, all that for this. So you can see now what's the option you have in order to get your character moving around and stuff like that. So this is the process. All right. So just as a reminder now, you have 4 ways. We did like the animation from Unreal Engine 4. We did the export from AccuRig, the motion, and now we put all of that inside of Fortnite. All right. So if you have any question or comment, let me know on the comments below. Thank you. Bye-bye.